And if there's one thing that we would all agree on is a hard thing that we need to do, and that's international evangelism and world missions. I'm excited about today as we focus solely on the topic of international evangelism and world missions. And Jon Konnerup, our mission director, is going to get us started by sharing an update on what's going on with the missions and the BBFI and an important announcement that I know you're going to be excited about.
Greetings from Springfield, Missouri. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to share a few things with you as we get started. In this year, we are looking forward to having 4 couples and 2 singles that have so far come and have applied for approval. As people also ask, well, what about the giving, the support for missionaries and projects? And so I want to share with you that in the last 6 months, there's been a 5% increase in giving over the same 6 months a year ago. Now you might think, well, 5%, that's good, but not a whole lot. But when you think about all the money that comes through here, 5% increase is $864,000. And so we're thankful that God's still providing through His people in His churches for His missionaries around the world. And the Mission Office, we have the privilege of being able to process those funds for everyone. While we see so many changes going on in the world, and I'm not going to take time to go through that list, but you know what they are. But there's one thing I can say, the Great Commission has not been canceled. We still have a task to do. We still have a job to do that God's given us through His Word, that we are to reach our world with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Since the beginning of 2020, we have seen through the efforts of our missionaries and their ministries around the world, over 450 churches started outside of the United States. So today we're going to share with you about a few things that I think would be of interest to you. One of them will be COVID and how it has affected our missionaries worldwide. We're going to talk about the WIN program and planned giving. I think you'll find this topic of planned giving something that might be of interest to you and your church. Also, we're going to talk about recruiting and the efforts that we're making in churches and in colleges, trying to share with young people around our country the opportunities there are to serve and how we are a vehicle to help get them to where God is calling them to go. And then I will share with you at the end about the 938, Project 938 for 2022 and some of the new things that we've got for that, and a little bit different twist on how we're doing Project 938. So I'll share that with you at the end. But first of all, I would like to share with you about a new building initiative by the Mission Office. For years, after a few years after I became the mission director, I met with Mike Haley, and he was the vice president over missions at that time. And we began to talk just about some opportunities and things that we would like to see happen for our missionaries. And we discussed the item of retired missionary housing. And but at that time, we realized we just didn't have the kind of funds that we needed at that time to do anything, but it was a good beginning of discussion. In 2010, I found some documents showing a possible retirement center that was planned by Dr. Baird. Dr. Baird and a few pastors were working together on putting together this retirement center here in Springfield, Missouri. In fact, the city had been approached. The documents show that they were excited about what they were hearing and seeing and wanting to see what the BBFI was going to do. They were looking at being located on the southwest corner of I-44 in Glenstone. Now there's a lot of other things there today, but at the time that was open and they were looking at that piece of property. They were going to have 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. In fact, they were planning about 150 units for people to be able to move into and retire. There's really no record on why this did not move forward. I can't find anything why it didn't move forward or why it didn't happen, but for some reason it was tabled and never gone back to. In 2015, discussions resumed with Pastor Mike Haley about possibly putting some housing units, missionary retirement housing units, on the property of Hallmark Baptist Church in Fort Worth, Texas. They had some property there they wanted to make available to that. It was at that time that, as we were discussing, it really became evident in my mind that our missionary force is getting older. And in my heart, I was just burdened to do something for them when they retire and come back. Because many times missionaries give all they have into the ministry and then they don't have much when it's time to retire. Maybe they can't stay on the field for health reasons. So my heart was really burdened about that, and I thought maybe this is a way I can take up where Dr. Baird perhaps for some reason was not able to fulfill the plan that he had. And so it was then that I was burdened about that, so I began to ask missionaries informally, what do you think about having a retirement center somewhere in the United States for missionaries? And of course, the response was very positive. And I asked them, what would you think? Would you rather have it in Florida or Fort Worth or Springfield? And the majority of those that I talked to shared that Springfield would be the best place. Now, maybe not weather-wise, but for multiple reasons it would be the best place. One of the reasons would be because both hospital systems here in Springfield work with our medical plan. And so our missionaries are able to use both hospital systems. Another reason is many of our missionaries through the years have doctors here in Springfield. As they come back on furlough, they would visit doctors and get physicals and things, so most of them have just done that in Springfield. Another thing would be the proximity to the mission office. So the mission office would be right close by to help them in times of need. And then also thinking about Commerce Bank. We've worked with Commerce Bank for many years, so missionaries have built their relationship with Commerce Bank. So these would be the reasons why something like this in Springfield would be good to have. Then in 2018, I spoke with Dr. Boonstra about this. I wanted to get his perspective. What would be his thoughts on this? And ask him to confirm some of the history that I had heard about on the mission office. Well, he was very excited about the prospect, and in fact, he said this is one of the reasons why years ago they began to set up some investments that would grow through the market so that perhaps one day something like this could be done for our missionaries. And then also he shared with me something I did not know, but he said in the early 80s, he and Dr. Baird had planned to move the mission office to Kansas City. And one of the reasons was because of a larger airport, and so for travel it would have been much easier traveling in and out of Kansas City. And so they had began to save up some of the money and through the investments to perhaps help with that move, but that did not happen. Let me give you a little bit of history on the mission office building. The mission office building first started out in, it's a 3-story building right here on Kearney, right next to the library of BBC. It's actually 2 floors above ground and 1 floor kind of underground. So, but I remember going to that building as a missionary kid when our family would come back on furlough. I remember walking up those steps and into that building going to see the mission office people. And so that's where the mission office started out. And then the fellowship came to the mission office and said, we want you to purchase the old High Street building. And the reason for that is High Street was moving to their new location and they needed to be able to finish their building project. And so the idea was we would buy their building and that would give them the funds to finish their new building. And so the fellowship said that we should buy that building, Old High Street, for $750,000. And so the mission office did that through the money that they had saved up and also borrowed a little bit of money. Well, then we got some challenging situations that occurred over at BBC. This was in the early to mid-1980s, where one of the people on the accounting department embezzled funds, whatever it might have been. I don't know all the story on that. But because of that, they were in financial trouble. They had started building the building where the mission office currently is, and they had the slab and some steel up, and then other steel just laying down on the slab. And because of the financial issues of BBC, they were not able to finish the building. Well, the contractors weren't very happy about that, and so there was talk about they might sue BBC to get the funds that they were promised for that building. And so the fellowship came to the mission office and said to the mission office, you need to take over this building. In other words, you need to finish it, and it'll become your building then. And so the mission office, we took whatever funds we had saved up again, and then also had to borrow an extensive amount of money from Commerce Bank, and we were able to finish this building in 1987. So we still had the old High Street building, and it was getting pretty old at that time. It was really not a very functional building for a mission office. In fact, it leaked a lot. Our computer systems, we had plastic that was over the computer, the mainframe computer, because of leaking from rain. So it really wasn't that great. So building a new building was really exciting. However, it put us in some more financial difficulty. Well, it took about 10 years to try and sell the old High Street facility. But after about 10 years, we ended up having to auction it off. And that facility auctioned off for $60,000. And so really that put us behind by $690,000 from what we bought it for and then eventually it auctioned off for. And so these kind of things we were able to do, and God blessed and enabled, and I believe it's because of God's blessings, but also the financial knowledge of Dr. Boonstra. He was very fiscally conservative, and Dr. Baird, being a businessman, were able to make things work in a very good way. But it did put us in this property that kind of made us landlocked for trying to do anything like missionary housing. And so we weren't able to provide what we wanted to through these years because of being in this facility. But Dr. Boonstra, as I talked to him, was very excited about this opportunity, and especially knowing the history we've gone through to be able to even come to something like this now. By the end of 2019, the investments that the mission office has grew very much, quite considerably. But I just felt at the time this was still not the right time to move forward on some type of project for housing. It's just something in my heart that I just felt it was not the right time. Well, we know soon after that, in February of 2020, COVID hit. And when COVID hit, of course, the economy was hit, the market was hit, and our investments also went down at that time. And so that made it very clear that it was good that we didn't do anything in 2019. But then in October of 2020, the investments began to grow again. I think you might remember the market began to grow and things became very good. And then in May of 2021, the investments grew even more. In fact, to the amount of $5 million more than what we had pre-COVID. And so it was just an amazing thing what happened. And so I began to talk with John Haley, who was the current, or is the current vice president. He's the son of Mike Haley, who I initiated the discussions with. But John and I began to talk about, hey, with the increase in this market and the investments, maybe we can think about, again, the idea of retirement housing. So we discussed the pros and cons of where this would be, where we would locate it, and through some time of discussion, we agreed that perhaps Springfield would be the best place. So then in August of 2021, I spoke with Tim Adrian, the president of the Baptist Bible Fellowship, and I shared with him about this possible plan of retired missionary housing in Springfield. Tim was very excited with what he heard, and he wanted to hear more. And so like John Haley was excited and thought it was a great idea, Tim Adrian thought it was a great idea, especially for the missionaries. That's who we're thinking about, for those who have perhaps may not have any means when they come off the field. This would be something great for them. And as I've heard others say, this is a win for our fellowship. It's an exciting thing, a moving forward for our fellowship. And so I explained as not only would we build a new mission office building on some property, but we would build retirement housing on that property that would put us together. And then at the same time, I'm always asked, well, what about the current building you're in now? Well, we would gift that. We would give it to BBC and be a blessing to them. God's blessed us. We're going to be a blessing to another entity, and I know God will bless us for being gracious that way. And so I've explained that with our BBFI leadership. At the request of Tim Adrian, I presented the idea to the executive committee at the 2021 September national meeting. Each one of those men just expressed their approval, their joy, their excitement for this kind of a project. They loved helping the retired missionaries. They also liked the new mission office building, and they also were excited about us giving this to BBC. Tim Adrian then asked me to speak to Mark Milioni and share this with him. He had not heard anything about it. And so I got with Mark right that afternoon at the September meeting, and we sat down. I began to share with him what we were going to do. And he was very quiet, and I believe he was very shocked, actually, when I shared with him we wanted to give the building to him. Very surprised, but very, very appreciative of what we were doing. And I believe this is something that will even help them with their accreditation scores, having another facility like this, of this quality. And so we discussed all of this plan with the leaders of our fellowship in the executive committee and with Dr. Boonstra and some of the others like that, before ever taking it to anyone else, before even speaking to Mark Milioni about it. And so I know that you would probably like to hear what Mark Milioni has to say, and so I want to give him an opportunity to share his thoughts. I'm happy to have the president of Baptist Bible College, Mark Milioni, here. Mark and I have become good friends. We get together, we strategize on different ways of trying to get more young people into the ministry, and I appreciate his passion that he has to see people come to college and be trained to go as missionaries, church planners, whatever it might be that God has for them to do. So, Mark, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And Mark, I've talked to them already about our proposal on this potential building project. And what are your thoughts when we consider about the opportunities that we have for the mission office, but then also gifting the building to you that we are in now?
Well, I want to remember for a long time what came through my heart and my mind. The morning that Jon talked to me about this, he asked me to come and meet with him, and so I came and I sat down next to him, and Jon shared about what the missions office is about to do, about to relocate, about to build, and why. And then he said, and we would like to give the building to BBC. And Jon, I remember I just looked down and I didn't know what to say. What went through my mind is BBC has been it's been a difficult number of years, and we're just now seeing some great things begin to happen, but I just thought, this is the biggest win for the Baptist Bible Fellowship and for Baptist Bible College and for the missions office that I've seen. What a great win-win for all of us, and for the Baptist Bible Fellowship to see this happen and the partnership, but also even for BBC. This is such a great thing. We're so honored. I'm so thankful. I'm blown away with your generosity. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for us. I'm excited for what could happen. I remember as a student, I was here when there was steel on the ground, and the whole process that took place there. And then now as the president, over the last few years, we have housed many missionaries in our apartments. And some of them come back from either a furlough time or for just as they're traveling, but some have come to rent from us because they had no place else to go. We've had some come and live on our campus and pass away there because they had no place else to go. what a huge thing this is. It's just a tremendous win for your missionaries, for the future, even recruiting others, and then looking at where we're at. We are right in the middle of doing a master plan for our campus, and so this is a perfect time for us to find out about this and to incorporate this into the future of BBC, because there are a lot of guys that have come to me and just said, you should relocate BBC. You need to move, you need to, and I looked at it. Then I've thought through all of that and studied about it. We prayed about it, and time after time, we just kept fixing up where we're at, and we're finally getting there. And this tells me this is where we're at. God wants us here, and honestly, it takes that off my plate. It helps us to know this is who we are, this is where we're going to be. And I do want to tell people, I know you're moving across town, but you're still in town, and we're still close, we're still friends, and honestly, it will allow us to continue to partner together. You'll still be on campus. We have professors now from the missions office teaching, and we have an opportunity for students to be involved in some activities there, and whatever we can do, I'm excited about it. It just expands our reach in this town, but also all over. I'm very excited about that. It will help us recruit students that want to do missions, knowing this is what is potentially in their future. So we're very, very excited, so very thankful, and just blown away. I'm excited for the Baptist Bible Fellowship, I'm excited for the Missions Office, and I'm excited for Baptist Bible College. So thank you so very, very much.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I appreciate that, and look forward to working with you through all this process and for many years to come.
Thank you. Amen.
Now let me discuss with you the purpose of this building project. What are we really thinking about doing it? Why do we need to do it? And I've already explained some of that to you, but let me just give you some of the specifics. One of the reasons is because of our aging missionary force. As I mentioned earlier, our force is getting older, and many are coming to the point of retirement. And some are living in retirement centers of other organizations down in Florida and other places. Mission organizations have their own retirement centers, and some of our missionaries are using those. We are looking to build about 10 to 12 units, 1 to 2 bedroom units for our missionaries. And I know that's not enough, but it's a good start. And then as we go forward from there, we will be expanding that. This project is an important recruiting tool. Many times when we talk to young couples and people and young people about being missionaries, they often ask, well, what's at the end? Do you have anything for when we are done with our missionary time on the field and we're ready to retire? Well, this will enable us to say, yes, we have a retirement center for you, and you'll be able to take advantage of that. This could also be a big help to missionary retention. Sometimes missionaries begin to get to that point in their life when they're thinking about retirement and what do I have? Am I able to do anything, be able to sustain our living? And so sometimes missionaries have resigned to go work and prepare for their retirement. Well, this way, our missionaries will know they have something for when that retirement comes. They'll have the place to be able to stay. So it could be something that would help with our missionary retention. This project also would be something meaningful for our retired missionaries. I've talked to just a couple of our missionaries about this project, and they are so thankful and appreciate so much this opportunity that will be there for them. I've had Laverne Rogers. You remember and know about Laverne Rogers. He retired just this last year, and when he called me and we talked, he said, Brother John, do we have anything in our organization for retired missionaries to live in? Is there something for us like other missionary organizations have? And my heart just broke knowing we didn't have anything. But I also knew in my heart, we're looking at it, we're thinking about it, and we're hoping that it can happen. There are times when our missionaries are in other organizations and their retirement centers. I just had one share with me that it's just they don't have churches in that area that are understanding of the Baptist Bible Fellowship, and and they don't know missions like we know missions, and it's just hard for them. They just feel like they're lonely and kind of out there on their own, where this kind of a setup would make it where they're together and they're with the mission office and churches all around Springfield. In Springfield here, there's a monthly gathering of BBFI retired missionaries and pastors that are in the area. And every month they get together. I've been able to meet with them a few times and be with them. But wouldn't it be great if they could do this at our BBFI Retirement Center? That would be such a blessing to them, I know. And then with the increase from the market and the sale of foreign homes that through the years we've had missionary homes on the field and we've sold them for various reasons, and the funds have come back here. Because of that, we are in a good position to build a retirement center for our missionaries along with a new mission office building. So what about the scope of the building project? What does it all look like in specifically the type of buildings? Well, we're gonna have different types of housing that we're gonna build. First of all, it'll be a full-time retirement, so we'll have 1 or 2 bedroom retirement homes. We're still looking at plans and how all that's going to come together, but we will have those full-time retirement homes. In addition, some of those might be available for missionaries who are coming back on a medical furlough and they need somewhere for a year or 2 years. If any of those would be available, it's great to have something that you can be in for an entire year to be there for your medical time. So it'll be to help those that are on furlough. And then also we're going to have efficiency apartments. In our building now, we have 2 efficiency apartments, and they're used all the time as missionaries come through. So we want to have a few more. We want to build some more of those so missionaries can come stay there for 1 night or up to 2 weeks in those efficiency apartments. And then we'll also build the new mission office building. We don't need one that's as large as the one we have now. There's more space than what we really need. Then I think about the new building would generate excitement. Just the idea of something new for our fellowship and for our office and for our missionaries, I believe it just generates some good excitement. And so we want to build a new, more modern building that kind of goes along with our media efforts and our internet efforts, our social media, things like that. All those website presence, we want to have also this new building that will be a great recruiting tool for new missionaries. Then we think about the functionality of the building, just a little bit more practical for our staff. The current design building that we are in now is designed for an auditorium, so it's a unique shape. Well, we will build something that'll be more for an office, and there's a lot of unused space, and so the utility costs of this building are larger than what they probably could be if we had something smaller and not as much space. And then also, a new building would put us close to the missionary housing so that we could assist with occupancy decisions, any kind of maintenance. Missionaries might be dealing with situations, they need some encouragement, we would be right there for them. And then also, we will still be near BBC. We will still be in Springfield here. Most of our missionaries are graduates of BBC. The mission office will still be very active in BBC with the World Missions Forum, the Missions Emphasis Week. We continue to be a part of their chapels, speaking in chapels, teaching in some of their classes. Brian Garrison is teaching a missions course this semester right now. And so we'll still be active in Baptist Bible College and encouraging students to be missionaries and helping them take those steps to get to the mission field. Some people say, well, you're moving away from the college. You're going to be about 15 minutes away. Yeah, but you think about the students when they go to church on the weekends and on Wednesday night and other activities, they drive more than 15 minutes to their churches. So we'll still be close by. We will always still be on campus a lot of the time. So that's kind of the scope of the project. Now let me share with you about the finances. Where will the finances come from? That's what a lot of people want to know. Where will the finances come from? Well, let me say first and foremost, we are not touching any of the missionaries' money for this project. Nothing of any project money or support for missionaries. There's none of the money that's going to be used for this project is tied to or related to the missionaries. So the missionaries don't need to worry about that. Pastors, you don't need to worry about that. We are not going to touch anything that is directly tied to the missionaries. God has blessed the investments, and that's where this money is coming from. We've also, as I said earlier, sold homes on the foreign field. And through the years, we've had missionaries who've left the field and they're in a specific area or country. They had a fellowship home, and so there was no one else to move into that home. And so we sold the home, brought the funds back, and on occasion we used that to help with other homes on the foreign field. But we're seeing less and less opportunities for that because of the volatility of our world and the economies and countries, the way they're turning. It's just not a good idea to invest homes on the foreign field as much today as maybe as it was. So those funds have kind of built up from the sale of those homes, and a lot of this money for this retirement housing is going to come from the sale of foreign homes. The executive committee has approved for us to move $5.5 million from the investments and put it into a cash account so that if the investments go up or down, which that happens often, that money will stay stable and it's always there right in that cash account ready to be used. I have met with state reps, the leadership of our fellowship on two separate occasions, and explained this project to them, and every one of them, 100%, are excited about it and are for it and have approved it and are looking forward to seeing how this is going to come forth. And so it's been exciting to see the response from our leadership of our fellowship. Now let me share with you a little bit about the plans that we have on these facilities. And first of all, we've located some property, 30 acres of property. We put some earnest money down, $25,000 down on the 30 acres. These are prime acres on the southwest side of Springfield. The total cost for this property is just a little over $1 million, which is a great price for 30 acres. And 30 acres helps us to be able to expand if we ever want to, gives us some opportunities. This property is located at the corner of West Sunshine and Farm Road 123. You can see on the picture there, highlighted in yellow, and that gives you the idea of the shape of the property and the size right there on West Sunshine. And then also we have a tentative site plan where we would enter off of Farm Road 123 and be able to come in and park, and you see the office building and then other facilities. We're kind of looking at far down the future as far as how many of these buildings we would build, and we will initially start with 3 or 4 of these housing apartment buildings. And so these are tentative, but I think it's exciting to see what's coming together. We also have been working on our designs for the new mission office building. We have several options that we're looking at. I haven't come up with one yet, but we're looking at those, and so coming together there. In addition to the design of 1 to 2 bedroom apartments, we're also looking at that and getting those things put together. So we're looking at opportunities, or should I say, at other organizations that have retired housing, and we're getting their plans so that we can get our ideas together and make it where it's going to be the best for our missionaries. And then we've obtained an architect he has started the process of drawing up the plans, but also he and some engineers have been working on rezoning this property. It was set up for residential. We had to rezone it so that we could put an office facility on it as well. That's already gone through several stages. They've approved it unanimously so far, and so we're excited about that. Engineers have been consulted, and schematic designs have been set for the property. We're working on those from December through February. We've obtained a construction manager that will be helping us with all the subcontractors and getting all that put together. building design, development, all of that is hopefully going to be done by the end of March. Budget reviews, approvals, getting permits, all those things hopefully will be done by July. And we want to start breaking ground perhaps in November. However, we're being told if things move as quickly as they seem to be and smoothly as they seem to be, we might even be able to break ground in July. So we're not sure, but we're looking at that. So somewhere between July and November, we'll break ground, and then hopefully within 12 months after that, have the mission office building finished and the housing for missionaries completed as well. We're planning to do it all at the same time. Now let me share with you some of the steps that we're going to be taking that are coming up very soon. The first one is on March 31st, 2022. That's going to be a Zoom meeting that we will be setting up, and this is going to be an opportunity for pastors to join in on this Zoom call and ask any questions. It'll be at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. So 2 o'clock on March 31st, we'll make it available for anyone to join, and Tim Adrian will be a part of that process. So if you have questions for him as the leader of our fellowship, or for me as about the project, we'll be ready to answer any question that you might have. So if you have any, prepare those for March 31st. And then at the May National Fellowship meeting, we will have all the pastors and their wives and staff and everyone together, and we're just going to celebrate this, and Brother Adrian's going to lead us in the process of just affirming this project so that we can move forward on it. We just want you to know that we have worked with our national leaders, we have worked with our state leaders, we have met with many of them many times, and then we want to give you an opportunity to ask any questions, and then we'll take it to the May Fellowship meeting for everyone just to say, this is exciting, let's go forward. Praise the Lord for that. So all the executive committee and the state reps are for this and excited about it. I hope that you are too. I hope that you will be praying and asking God to bless us in our efforts as we try and provide something for our retired missionaries and even help the Bible College with this facility for them. We're excited about this, and I can't wait to see the first missionaries moving into that retirement housing. And that's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day.